Welcome to Are We Gonna Talk About It with Ty
and Taryn. It is a space where we have candid conversations surrounding
faith, marriage,
family, and ministry.
Here we go. Let's talk.
Let's talk.
Let's talk. Let's talk that talk.
I told you I can't be serious. Y'all, we were trying to take a thumbnail of the video and he was like, let's be serious. And I realized.
And show him your serious face.
You got to go to the video to see if
face.
you're listening via podcast. I'm going to try. I'm going to bust out laughing. I cannot. I know how to be serious when I need to be, but
you know how to be serious every time I make a joke.
I laugh at your little
no,
jokes.
You don't.
Oh, speaking of, that's what I was going to ask you. Am I funny? Because I feel like I'm funny. I don't know if I'm a different type of funny. I don't know, but I do feel like I got jokes, you know.
I feel like you have a sense of humor.
Okay, I'll take that. Maybe not funny, but I do have a sense of humor.
Yeah. We can go there with jokes. We have a good time.
I do like to make people laugh. I do like to
people, or you just like to have fun?
No, I think
like
I like to make. I don't know if I'm an entertainer.
Like you're okay
around people that I'm comfortable.
You okay with the attention being on you?
Yeah, well, that's probably maybe it's a defense.
It's
the defense where I like make people laugh, so I won't be awkward and uncomfortable. Because I also feel like I can be kind of awkward too.
That's the side of her that a lot of people have not seen.
Yeah, I mean, but for those who are around me, like, and we have, relationships and connections and things like that, like friendships, y'all probably get to see more of that side. It's not like I'm hiding it. It just like.
No, definitely when you get around your family.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll be sitting back on the wall and I just be watching you just strutting around, doing all the things.
Just strutting around. You got to do your little finger like that, really? I think my jokes come where I make jokes out of the situation or out of something that somebody may
That's why we can't
say,
take you nowhere.
No, but it's not like I'm joking on people, but I think I don't know if it's a conversation happening, I throw a joke in with it. But, I do know how to be serious. To put me on the spot to give a serious face, that's kind of hard. But, yeah.
Okay.
I think you have a sense of humor, too.
I think I do,
You know
too.
what's funny? You try to get rid of my dog.
Get the dog.
Y'all, he trying to get rid of Teddy. Why? But
I did not try to get rid of him.
You trying to throw hints. You're at the hint mode.
I would be okay if we didn't have a dog. But I felt the same way before we got him.
But like Teddy is family, man. Like he is. Yeah, you'll miss him if you got rid of him. You don't think so? You don't think so? Okay.
I mean, if he smelled good, then I'd probably feel better.
Yeah, he does need a bath right now, so
it's not working. Yeah, it's not working for him right now.
Yeah, we got to go take him to get a bath and get him cleaned up so that you can love on him, so that he can love on you.
Loving on him don't mean that I love him.
You like Teddy, man. I like this little dog. I know you had those moments, don't you?
No,
never.
I've never been a dog person.
Okay, y'all.
I tolerate them because
DM
of y'all.
me. I got some footage. I'm gonna send to you. You playing with Teddy the other day?
Yeah. I also play with my shoes.
That is not the same. You were having fun. You were having a lot of fun. I said you were having real fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I have fun with that I don't love.
Man, whatever. Y'all,
all right.
Like Teddy.
Thank y'all for joining us today. Thank you for tuning in. Are we going to talk about it with
we
Ty
talking already, huh?
and Taryn?
Sorry, y'all.
Wherever you're streaming from, I hope that you are enjoying hearing us talk about our lives. But we want to know about yours.
What's going on?
So please drop it in the chat. Let us know how you're doing. But then also let us know how this podcast is impacting you, if it's helping you out, if it's encouraging you. We love to hear about it. And so drop those in the chat as well.
Yeah. We missed you all last week.
We did.
Yeah, we didn't drop an episode last week, but
we did not. And I hope y'all enjoyed the episode with Hope and Cadero.
Yes.
Which was really great. But we took some time for us last week because we were just ripping and running and doing so much. And we love y'all and we respect y'all too much for us to just throw something together just to say that we're releasing an episode.
Right.
And so I'm glad we didn't because as a segue into this conversation, All of our conversations, I think, we're talking about our lives, but there's some conversations that cut a little bit deeper, like today's conversation where we really desire to be transparent and open up about areas of our lives where maybe sometimes we have doubts, concerns, where sometimes we lack faith.
Yeah.
Which is probably hard for some people to hear. Like, y'all pastors, though, how could you lack faith? Or how could you have areas of your life where you struggle or you're challenged with believing God? And I feel like if anybody would say that they don't have challenges with either trusting and believing God, like, I would have concerns.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Right.
if the disciples, if the apostles, and they were
I'm telling
literally
you.
hand in hand, walking foot in foot and striding
Yes.
with Jesus, we've never seen them. We've never touched them physically. Like, I can imagine that we do too.
Yeah, that's really
And
good
so
already.
that's some of what we want to talk about today.
Yeah.
And so strap your seatbelts. If you've ever been challenging your faith, man, I believe that this episode is really going to encourage you and bless you if it hasn't already.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good. Let's
dive
get
in.
in.
Yeah. So let's talk about it, because because just recently, I know a lot of people with one of our recent episodes that was titled "I Left My Job."
Yes.
And a lot of people resonated with that. And a lot of people were like, oh, I'm considering that, or yeah, I did that years ago, or man, I've thought about that years ago, but I'm afraid to, or I'm considering X, Y, Z, and all those things. A lot of people resonated. A lot of people hit us up. We got comments. That's one of our most viewed videos. And I thought it would be good, at least along the lines of this conversation, to talk about like what have been some of your challenges, because I'm sure a lot of people hit you up like, oh, that's so great, it's amazing, congratulations. And then on the other side of it is, God, what the heck is what are you about to do about this? Like, how am I supposed to move in this new phase? So like, what are some of your challenges? Like, where are you at? Like, now kind of give us an update
so when people ask me like, so how has it been, for you making that big transition? I'm like, y'all, I'm really, and I probably said this in the episode, that particular episode, I'm just out here trusting God.
Just out here trusting God.
Like, and it sounds like a little blanket statement, but really that is the heart of the situation. Like, that is really what I am doing in this season.
Yeah.
Like, another level of just trusting him. And I think the thing for me that has been challenging right now is like leaving something that I was invested in for so long to now.
How long were you there?
I was there for 14 years, but I mean, I worked a job since high school. So, over, how old am I?
This is all new.
This is all new. Not work. And then of course you don't work, income, it can be a little bit different, but it's like, God is still the same. I will say that. He's still faithful and a provider, but he's providing in a way that is completely different than me going to work some hours and to get money in return for working those hours. And so when I say I have to trust him to be provider, that really has been the thing. Like, not knowing where it's going to come from. Like, I know it's coming because that's who he is. And that's what he told me, that he will be my provider. But even when you hear that, like, okay, I'm gonna be your provider. Okay, Lord. So that means you're gonna tell me where to go or what to do to then get a job or then get this, that, and that's gonna bring in the resources, because that makes sense. But he's like, no, I don't want you to do any of that right now. Even when I try to go and just let me see what's out there, what job announcements. Oh, I think I could do that job. There is not any peace.
Yeah. And I gotta say something real quick.
Yes.
Like, so even with that, I feel like sometimes you have lazy people.
Yeah, and that's what I don't want to be.
People who lean into, all right, well, I'm going to just trust God so I won't do anything. But there are a vast majority of people who are the opposite, who are go-getters.
Yeah, and they just waiting on the word. Lord, just say the word.
If you give me a word, I'm going to go after it. God,
I'm going to do it.
I'm going to step out.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
But like, there are many people who they're like, they will go after it if they just know what to go after.
Right.
What do you do, or what have you been doing in those moments where you feel like you've just been having to sit on your hands, sit still, or like, God, you're not giving me peace about moving, but ain't nothing coming to me either. So what have you been doing, or what have you been reading, or what has been encouraging you in this season with that?
I go back to Sometimes I go back to the notes when I was about to make this big leap in this transition and the things that he specifically spoke to me. One of the things being that you're going to live supernaturally. And that's like, okay, but are you going to give me some instructions? So when you hear these stories like, okay, I left my job and then I had an idea and then this idea took off. It's like, that's not even happening. I'm just waiting.
For my moment.
I'm just waiting for my moment.
For the thing where everything changes.
So I think I will say I have more good moments than those challenging moments. So I thank the Lord for the grace in that I don't stay in those moments too long. But to just dig into what those moments look like for me, it is like it feels like a weight, a huge weight, and then it's just like questions like that I've learned to take to God. In times past, I didn't go directly to him with those things. And so it would come out in frustration. It would come out even maybe against you or me, like trying to not necessarily like blame you for anything or resent. I don't think it's resentment. It's just like, I need to put this on somebody because somebody should be doing something about this. And it's just like, no, but I can't come. And that's one of the things I had to go back to. Guys, like, this is not between you and him. This is between me and you. And so I go back to what he said to really secure my faith and my foundation in him. I can't blame myself. I can't blame you. I can't take it out on anybody. I have to really take it to the Lord. And so in those challenging moments, that's what I've been making it a habit to do, is to go to him. And it don't feel good because it's just like you have to acknowledge like the reality, or you have to acknowledge like what you're really feeling in that moment. Like, Lord, I feel this way. But I will say the turning point, and it always happens where he will begin to just give me either peace, as I'm praying. And something else I'm doing now is just worshiping him. Like, I'm not coming asking you to make this happen or to do this, because I already know like you got it. Like you got it. I'm building up my faith in a way to where it's just like I'm not coming to make a request or and it's nothing wrong with that. But for this particular season of my life, it's turning more into like, just worship me. Just worship me, just spend time with me, just commune with me, just seek my word. And it's through me seeking his word, it's like I'm getting everything that I need, to the point where I realize now that he's doing a lot of internal work, and I need this time to sit still so he can do what he needs to do on the inside of me. Like, for me, that is, I don't know. It's and I got a lot of stuff in my notes. I don't feel like pulling that all out. But most recently, he was just showing me how, we can all be like trying to go and, get these platforms or get this money or do all of these things. And we're neglecting some very important and vital pieces on the inside of us, which, he wants to address, and he wants to refine and purify and sanctify. And if we place more value on that, I think that's what we got to do. We got to rearrange what we're placing our value on. So he started to give me perspective of valuing the work that's being done in my heart, valuing being purified by him, valuing the fact that, where is it? I'm gonna have to go because I've been in Matthew 5. Whoa, where is it? I think even if you go to 1 Corinthians like 13, where it talks about, if I speak with the tongues of men and angels, but I have not love, I am nothing. I recently went to that verse and I was just like, man, Lord, you can want all these things to happen and do all this stuff, but if I don't have love, then I'm nothing. Like, so cultivate your love in me. Cultivate like, we want to bear fruit. Like, help me to bear the fruit of the Spirit. I always go back to that because I'm like, that is what's most important, and we chase after all of these other things. So he's really like humbling me in that way to be content with the internal work that's happening. And not trying to go and do all these things, but sit still, because it's purpose in me sitting still right now. Like, and I'm starting to see like how, like what he's doing. He's starting to give me understanding about what he's doing in this season of sitting still. And so I'm like, Lord, okay, I ain't gonna move. And so when those thoughts come up to try to make me feel like, okay, well, I need to go after this, or I need to do this, or if it's like, oh man, we want to go and take a trip, or we want to do this. Oh, well, that's tied to money. We got to have money to do that. And then start kind of getting in that challenging place. I'm like, I'm not going there. Lord, I thank you. I have to start just giving thanks to him and just thanking him. And that takes my mind off of what's not going right, you know, or things like that. I know I done went on a whole tangent with all of that, but that's where I'm at, guys.
So while you're in Matthew, you were sharing with me a verse about a situation where the disciples were out on the water. And so it kind of had me thinking about you know, two situations where the disciples were out on the water. One specifically where Peter saw Jesus on the water and he said, bid me to come. And I feel like there are a lot of moments or seasons in our lives where we feel like this is a moment where I need to jump out the boat. This is a moment where I need to go where God is. If he ain't in the boat, then I want to be outside the boat where he is. Or this is a season for me to do something. I got to get my hands dirty. I got to get out there in the workforce. I got to get 2-3 jobs. Like I have to do, I can't just sit still and do nothing. God, if it's you, bid me to come. But what happens in those moments where like you don't feel like he's out there? Or when he does, like you said, like where you feel like I just need to sit still. You were talking about the disciples being in the boat. Could you share some of that? Yeah, I think that was really good.
So I was recently reading about that. That's in Matthew 8, and it's verses 23 through like 27. But it was like Jesus got in the boat, and then his disciples followed him. So I kind of look at that like, okay, we're in this boat with Jesus right now, because we're following him, we obeyed him, and then all of a sudden Jesus goes take a nap. He's tired. He's human. That's his human side, you know, the humanity side of him, doing all these miracles, all these healings. Like I'm about to go to sleep. Then the storm comes, and the disciples are panicking because the waves are crashing over the boat. They thinking that we about to die. So then they go and wake up Jesus, and they're like, you know, let me read it. They said. In verse 25, so the disciples came and woke him up saying, Lord, save us, we're going to die. And he said to them, why are you afraid, you of little faith? And so, man, I was just like, man, that's crazy that they just witnessed so many miracles of healing, of deliverance, all these things that Jesus did. And now they're in a boat with him and they're waking him up because they think they're about to die, but he's in the boat with them. And so, for me, it just made me take a moment to say, okay, do I really believe in Jesus and who he is in my life? You know, I've seen what he has done over the course of the many years of my life. And so it's just like a faith check for me. Like he asked him, he was like, oh, are you of little faith? Do you have little faith? It wasn't to say that they didn't have faith. Yeah. It was just little, or it was ineffective, or deficient. And so I think Jesus had to also address the fear. That was the first question he asked. Why are you afraid? Yeah, that's good. And so he's like, let me address your fear.
That's good.
I'm going to address this first, but you do have little faith also. Like, or he asking them, you know, when they ask, Jesus asked a question, we know, like, he already know the answer. Yeah. It's just for us to self-reflect and say, oh man, like, I do have little faith. But one of the things that stuck out to me at the very end of that whole passage, he got up, he rebuked the winds and the sea. There was a great calm. The men were amazed and asked, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and sea obey him. They're asking, what kind of man is this? So for me, it tells me like, y'all don't know who y'all have and y'all missed. Yeah. This is Jesus, the Son of the living God. And I know it kind of goes back to these were his disciples seeing all the things. Like you would think that they would be so high on faith, and yet they had little faith. And so for me, that was a moment to reflect, like, where is my faith? Right. Why, you know, have there been moments where when something didn't go right, or when I felt like we didn't have what we needed, then why was my response of little faith?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the faith? Where is the, and it's obviously a great faith, because I know Jesus has mentioned that too.
Mm-hmm.
So my prayer is like, Lord, give me great faith and help me to see and know who you are. Because like they were like, what kind of man is this?
Yeah.
I don't want to ask that question. I want to know who Jesus is. So Jesus, reveal yourself to me.
Yeah.
Show me who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to stick close to you. And another thing you said too, just about when I don't know exactly what you said, but I believe our desires have something to do with, you know, why we struggle in our faith, because we put our desires on things that aren't in alignment with God. So it's just like, okay, if he's telling us to be still, my desire should be to be still, not to go and pursue these things. It's like, what desire is connected to you going to pursue that thing or going to do that thing? Is that a God-led desire, or is that your own desire because you see everybody else doing this and now it gives you a desire to go after those things? And it's just like, we got to make sure that we're putting our desires in the right place or in the right person.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think not
I'm talking a whole lot.
I think, you know, obviously with Jesus being in the boat speaks volumes, because my desire, and I know yours is as well, is like, God, wherever you are, that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you're in the boat, but the storm is all around me, I would rather be in the eye of the storm
with Jesus,
and Jesus is right there with me. Than for me to say, I'm jumping ship. I'm getting out of here. I'm tucking tail. You know what I mean? I'm running, because Jesus is not in it. And it goes to what you said. Like, sometimes our desires and our past, like, we're led by what we actually want. And so we'll go after things that look appealing. We'll go after things that look like, oh, well, it's a storm on this side, but the sun is shining in that city.
I want to go to the sun.
The sun is shining on that job. The sun is shining in that relationship. And so, like, we want to go to where the conditions look more right for what we need. Or more favorable. And I think, you know, even last week we had a conversation with an individual who was considering relocating. And this ain't the first time either. But our encouragement was, it wasn't necessarily, no, you don't need to. It wasn't, yes, you need to. It was, I think you need to find out, what does God say about this?
What does God, and
like,
that's the main
where
question.
Does God want you to be? Because wherever he wants you to be, and this is what you need to settle into, even if he tells you where to be, you need to be sure about what he's spoken to you or what he showed you. Because when you get there, or if you have to stay, then it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to go well. And you said it. It says that he got into the boat and the disciples followed him. We're following after the presence of God, and things still got worse.
Right.
Like,
how?
That part doesn't make natural sense. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like, but God, you're in it. So guess what? I'm going to stay in it. I'm going to stick with it. You know what I mean? And and sometimes it you could be in a space where you're looking at somebody else's situation, like a Peter, like, oh, well, we just take scriptures and we could throw them at our situation. We throw them up against our desires, and we say, well, I can use this scripture for what I want, because just like Peter, you know, he jumped out the boat and he said, Lord, bid me to come. But that's where Jesus was. But you may be in a situation where God is having you stay still because he's right here with you in the moment. And so, like, how does it feel for you? And just being real and raw, you know, with people that's listening, how does it feel for you being in situations where it's like, God, I know you're with me. I know you told me to do this. I know you gave this your stamp of approval. I know you signed off on this. I know you gave me peace about this decision, but now that I've made it, I feel like I've lost the peace. You know what I mean? And not that the peace is gone,
right?
But more so, we're looking at the conditions. But like, if you were with me,
it's fear.
Even Gideon said that. He said, "Mighty man of valor, I'm with you." And he said, "Go on this mighty yours." And he said, "But if you're with me, then why? Then why is all this stuff happening?" And I feel like it's valid questions. But after we get through all the questions, it should be, God, if you're in it. But I guess let me get back to the question. How does that make you feel, you know, in that, with that tension?
It just like Jesus did with the disciples, like, it's a moment for fear to be addressed, because that's what is rooted. That's what's everything that the feelings, the emotions that come out, or just it's all rooted to fear, and that's what I'm learning. Like, no, that's fear. It's not that you are trying to just go and get money. It's like, no, that desire is connected to fear. You're moving out of fear. You're worrying out of fear.
Let me compensate. Let me make up the difference.
You're becoming overwhelmed because of fear. So let's address that. And what I have to do is go talk to the Lord about it and go pray about it and say, all right, Lord, and go back to what he said. And when I allow him the room to remove the fear and to reestablish my faith, then I feel like that's where I sense his peace, then because the peace is there. It's just like our attention, we have to kind of shift or realign our attention and our perspective back on him. And so it's just like, let's address the fear. Let's dig that up, because that's what's happening. That's why you're responding the way that you are. That's why you feel like you're trying to take it out on people, or you're moving in haste. It's because of fear. You're scared.
That's good.
Call it for what it is. I'm a spades player. I like spades. I like to call it for what it is.
That's really good.
But call a spade a spade. It's fear.
That's good. So could you say that the disciples, when they went to Jesus, well, let me preface it by saying this. Some people feel like, if I have a problem, I need to run to Jesus. If I have a situation, I need to run to Jesus. Is it possible that we could be running to him in fear? In fear.
Right.
The disciples,
that's what they did.
The disciples ran to him in fear.
Yeah.
They didn't say, they didn't run to him and say, God, you're with us. What would you have for us to do?
Yeah.
They didn't say, what would you have for us to say? They ran to him and they said, don't you see us perishing? Don't you see us dying? What you going to do about this? And I feel like that's part of the reason that they got rebuked, because it was prayers prayed out of fear. And it was anxiety. It was, God, I really need you to come through, instead of, God, I want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
It was, God, if you don't do this, I don't know what I'm going to do. But instead,
because they didn't recognize who was in their midst.
Right.
Asking that question, what manner of man is this that the season? The thing? So we got to take time to get to know Jesus.
Yeah. So what would be a better question than, don't you care? Aren't you concerned about what's going on around us? The better question would be, God, what do you say?
Yeah. Lord, I know you see it. What do you say?
What do you say about this? What should my response be? Have you given me something that I've been well equipped with in order to handle what I've already been given, right? Because they had that authority. They could have spoken it as well, just like when he in Matthew, I don't even know if we'll get to this, but in Mark chapter 9, where the guy brought his son who was demon possessed, and he said, I brought him to you, but you weren't here, so I had to go to your disciples, and your disciples couldn't do it. Like, when's the last time we said, God, what do you say about this? What would Jesus do? Like, how would he respond in this situation, as opposed to, God, you need to show up. God, you need to do it. And it's all built and based in fear and anxiety.
Yep. Boom. That's it.
Let's get ready to finish. This has been good. In Mark chapter 9, one of the things that I've been feasting on recently is that same passage when the man brings the boy who was demon possessed, and he says, let me see, it's in Mark chapter 9. And the man said in verse 17, then one of the crowd answered, Teacher, I brought to you my son who was mute. He was mute. And whenever it seizes him, it throws him down. He foams at the mouth, gnashes the teeth, and becomes rigid. So I spoke to your disciples that they should cast him out, but they could not. And Jesus said, oh, faithless generation. They got rebuked again. Then he brought him to him, and when he saw him immediately, the spirit convulsed. And he fell on the ground and wallowed and foamed at the mouth. And so you got a situation where he came to Jesus. And he's like, Jesus, I need you to do something about this. And right when Jesus shows up on the scene, the boy goes into a seizure. He's foaming at the mouth. He's having an episode. And while he is rolling around on the ground, you can imagine the panic of a father, the panic of a mother, the panic of a guardian, when you're like, Jesus, like, bro, like, look, he's doing it right now. Like, he's convulsing. He's throwing himself down. Like, you don't see this. And Jesus's response, he doesn't go right to what's going on. Jesus's response is he talks to the Father. He says, so how long has it been? How long has this been happening to him? If I'm looking at my son having a seizure on the ground, which in real time is a lot of people's situation, like, God, my situation has been urgent. Like this for a long, like, this hurts. I'm in pain. My body is in sickness. It's been happening. God, don't you see me? Like, right now, it really hurts and I cannot bear this any longer. Imagine watching your son with a seizure on the ground and Jesus turns away from him and he looks at you and he says, how long has it been happening? It's like, what does that matter? Like, who
just
cares? Like, just do it.
Yeah,
and Jesus turns to the man and begins to deal with the man. And he says, well, if you can do anything, do it. He said, no, not if I can do anything. He said, if you can believe. Wow. And then and it says that the man cries out in tears and he says, I believe, but help my unbelief. And so it's like, it's at this point we see that part of his fear is, like, look what's happening. I need you to do this now. Yeah. And God in the same moment is like, yeah, but let me deal with you.
So, and that's the thing, it's just like, we want God to move on our situation, but God is trying to move in us. So that we just won't be like, oh, okay, the situation's fixed, but it's just like, so we'll know who he truly is.
Exactly.
And we will put our faith in him. And faith, we move from faith to faith and glory to glory. But it's just like, no, I'm building faith in you.
So the same thing with Matthew that you read about Jesus calming the storm. It was the same thing. They're like, hey, handle this situation going on around us. And he's like, yeah, but let's deal with the situation going on in you at the same time. Like, let's deal with, because that's the bigger,
your heart.
That's the bigger problem. Because if we can deal with that, next time you won't have to come to me.
Yeah. Yep.
Next time you realize that it's already in you. Like, you have the power to speak to Jesus is not in the earth anymore. So what do we do? Holy Spirit lives on the inside of us.
Inside of us, his spirit.
Do we not have the same power? Right. Do we not have the same authority that raised Jesus Christ from the dead? Do we not have the same spirit living on the inside of us that lived in Jesus Christ himself that now dwells in us?
And sometimes that same spirit will say, be still.
Oh my God.
And don't do nothing. Just like Jesus when he was on this earth.
That's tough.
I'm gonna sit still. I'm gonna write in the dirt. I'm gonna stand by.
Do I have your attention?
Yeah. Be still and know. Be still and know. And that's what he's getting us to, knowing that he is God.
Yeah. What do you mean? If I can do this? No, if you can believe.
Yeah.
Do you know who I am?
Put some more respect on him. Put some respect on his name.
Disciples say, who is this man?
Right.
And even the winds and the seas. Like, do y'all not know? The winds and the seas know, but y'all don't know?
So what gives me hope, even in that passage, is like they got to where they were going, which for me, I wrote in my notes, I was like, we have to live like our future is secured, because it is. If we're in Christ, our future is secured, and we got to live like that, not living out of fear, but living in faith in him. And so it just really stirred my heart, because I'm just like, Jesus, you're with me. I know who you are.
Yeah.
I've not only read about what you can do, I've seen you move in my life. So I know that you are with me here and here now as I sit still in this season of my life, as I wait on you, Lord.
That's good.
And so I encourage myself, just like David had to encourage himself. I choose to encourage myself. I choose to give you thanks and praise right here, right now, until you speak and tell me to move and do whatever you need me to do.
That's it.
Boom. We live in like our what is it? Our future is secured, because it is, because they got to where they were going. Their future was secured. They were just worrying on a boat for no reason. The boat got to where it needed to go. Future was secured. So yeah, that's what we ended on.
I hope that y'all encouraged.
God bless
by
you
this
all.
episode.
Yes,
and some of our transparency with some of our challenging moments in our faith. I'm encouraging many of y'all, and this may not hit for everybody, but a good amount of you listening. I'm encouraging you to stay in the boat.
Stay in the boat.
Stay in the boat.
If Jesus is in the boat, you stay in the boat.
Yeah, musicians and even in sports, we got a term that we say, stay in the pocket.
Okay, I like it. Stay in the pocket. We in the pocket.
We in the pocket.
Yep, I'm in his pocket.
I'm
in his coat pocket. I told y'all I was funny. Ha ha ha.
That wasn't funny. That was like, it was weird.
Stay in Jesus' pocket.
Like a melted piece of chocolate.
Yeah, I ain't gonna melt though.
Stay in Jesus' pocket like a melted piece of chocolate.
Oh, now you want to freestyle. Okay. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for listening.
Let's get out of here before I start spitting some Willy Wonka bars.
All right.
Bars.
Good night.
Bars. You missed it.
I got it. Okay. Well, thank y'all for listening. Let me be serious. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode. We hope that you enjoyed it. Please drop a comment. Please hit us up. Let us know if this has blessed your life.
Yes.
And until the next episode.
Let us know how it has encouraged you.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you got some more verses that can encourage us in the process. Drop those in the comment section as well. Thank y'all for subscribing, and for y'all being loyal and faithful to the Are We Going to Talk About It podcast.
Yes. We'll see y'all in our next episode.
All right.
Bye.